Hello, my name is Nidhi, and today I'll be presenting my capstone project on sustainable fashion. My project explores the connection between fashion sustainability and price. We often assume that sustainable brands are more expensive, but I wanted to see if that's actually true. To do this, I analyzed data from three sources: Good on You, which rates brands by sustainability; Google Trends, which tracks how often people search for sustainable versus fast fashion; and the 2023 Fashion Transparency Index, which scores brands on governance and traceability. My goal was to find out whether sustainability is linked to price and also whether people's interest in fashion actually aligns with the sustainability behavior. Before we get into the data, I want to quickly explain the two sides of the industry. Fast fashion focuses on speed and constant newness, brands that release new collections almost every week to keep up with the trends. Sustainable fashion, on the other hand, focuses on responsibility, making fewer items, using eco-friendly materials, and ensuring fair labor practices. So, in short, one is driven by rapid production and variety, while the other is guided by ethics and longevity. I wanted to find out whether these different approaches also show up in price, or if sustainability has simply been misunderstood as being more expensive. I started off by looking at the distribution of sustainability ratings across brands. As we can see, the largest group of brands fall into the we avoid category, meaning they perform poorly on environmental or ethical standards. There are far fewer brands rated good or great. So right away, this tells us that sustainable brands make up a minority of the fashion market. That imbalance mirrors what we see in reality. Most major brands are still fast fashion or low transparency companies. Next, I wanted to see if their sustainability rating had any connection to price. Here's the average price level for each rating category. Each brand was assigned a value from 1 to 4, where 1 means affordable and 4 means luxury. All the averages fall between 2.25 and 2.44, which is basically mid-priced. That means whether a brand is we avoid or great, its average price point looks almost identical. And this is interesting because it challenges the common perception that ethical fashion is always expensive. It's not. Sustainability doesn't seem to correlate with higher prices. One reason for this pattern could be that the majority of the fashion market operates in that same mid-range. According to McKinsey's 2023 fashion report, over 60% of global fashion sales occur in the mid-price segment, which aligns perfectly with what we're seeing here. I also broke it down by showing what percentage of each price level makes up every sustainability category. We can see that for all categories, price level 2 dominates. For example, good brands, about 64%, are price level 2. We avoid brands, nearly 48%. And even the top great brands, around 41%, still fall in the same mid-range. Only a small share, roughly 10 to 14%, of any group belongs to the luxury level. So while some people associate sustainability with high-end fashion, the data shows that's not the case. Most sustainable brands, and even the least sustainable ones, cluster around the same price segment, suggesting that transparency and policy practices, not price, are what separate these ratings. To quantify the relationship, I also ran a correlation test between rating and price level. The result was negative 0.03, which is basically zero. That means there's no linear relationship. Higher rated brands aren't more expensive, and lower rated ones aren't cheaper. This lines up with what other studies have found. The cost gap between sustainable and fast fashion brands has narrowed as more affordable, sustainable materials and methods are used. So at this point, the data from Good on You is clear. Sustainability doesn't depend on price. But that raised a bigger question for me. If sustainable fashion is affordable, why do people still keep choosing fast fashion? To answer that, I shifted my focus from pricing data to consumer behavior and brand visibility. This chart here shows search interest over the past 5 years, sustainable fashion in blue and fast fashion in orange. The difference is pretty striking. Fast fashion dominates online attention, averaging about a score of 36, while sustainable fashion averages only a score of 7. That's roughly 5 times higher for fast fashion. You can also see how fast fashion interest spikes during holidays, sales, or viral drops, while sustainable fashion stays fairly flat. This shows that while people talk about sustainability, their online behavior focuses more on fast-moving trends and convenience than on ethics. To dig a little bit deeper, I looked at when sustainable fashion gets the most attention, especially around major events like Earth Month. Here I highlighted April, Earth Month, with purple circles. Each year there's a small spike in interest, especially around 2022 and 2023 during sustainability campaigns and Fashion Revolution Week, but those spikes fade quickly afterward. So while people engage around Earth Day, the effect is short-lived. This shows that awareness campaigns work, but only temporarily. According to Google's 2024 Environmental Insights report, less than 15% of users who search sustainability topics continue engaging 2 weeks later. And that tall spike hitting 100, that's early 2025 when multiple global events, including Earth Month, new fashion sustainability regulations, and heavy media coverage all happened at once. So it was just a perfect storm of eco-fashion attention. But even then, the surge didn't last. So even when people notice sustainable fashion, the interest fades quickly and doesn't change long-term behavior. And that got me thinking, if awareness isn't enough, what keeps people hooked on fast fashion? To find out, I looked at Shein, one of the most dominant brands driving fast fashion growth. This graph shows Shein's shopping interest over the past few years. Despite multiple controversies, the brand's popularity barely dropped. In 2021, reports surfaced that forced labor in parts of Shein's supply chain. In 2022, there was a TikTok backlash where users called out Shein's overproduction and waste. Then in 2023, influencers went on a factory tour meant to improve the brand's image, but it backfired and went viral for all the wrong reasons. And finally, in late 2023, Shein faced IPO scrutiny when regulators and media questioned its labor and transparency practices. And that's when we saw the biggest drop in interest, about 40%. So even after years of controversies, consumer interest barely changed until the IPO incident. And this shows how resilient fast fashion demand is. People still gravitate towards Shein because of its massive variety and frequent drops and constant visibility. That made me curious to see how traditional mid-price brands compare in terms of their actual transparency and accountability, not just popularity. Here we have 3 brands from the 2023 Fashion Transparency Index. All are mid-priced, but their sustainability transparency varies. Puma scores highly across governance and policy. H&M performs well on governance, but is still improving on traceability. Marks and Spencer surprisingly scores lower despite being a long-established brand. This really shows that price and reputation don't guarantee sustainability. 2 brands can sell at the same price, yet be on completely different levels of responsibility. So again, it's not about cost, it's about policy, visibility, and accountability. Now that we've seen both the pricing data and the behavioral trends, let's bring everything together. Overall, sustainable fashion isn't more expensive, it's just less visible. Consumers can afford it, but fast fashion offers more variety and easier access. Fast fashion dominates exposure and online attention, and controversies don't change much. People return to what's more convenient. The real issue isn't necessarily price, it's availability and awareness. Fast fashion brands flood the market with so many different choices, while sustainable options remain limited and harder to find. And that imbalance in visibility and access explains why people continue buying fast fashion, even when affordable, ethical options exist. This is what needs to happen moving forward. More awareness. People need to actually know which brands are making responsible choices. More variety. Shoppers should have more sustainable options to choose from. Accessibility. Those options should be easy to find and buy, not hidden or limited. And lastly, consumer behavior. Awareness has to turn into consistent action. When all four of these connect, sustainability becomes something people can truly choose, not just something they talk about. So, to just wrap it all up, sustainability doesn't cost more, it just needs to matter more. Each of us plays a role in shaping the future of fashion. When we choose to buy from brands that care about their workers, use sustainable materials, and stay transparent about their practices, we send a powerful message about what truly matters. But lasting change can't come from the consumers alone. Companies and governments really need to step up too, setting fair standards, limiting overproduction, and ensuring safe working conditions across the industry. Only when everyone, shoppers, brands, and policymakers, takes responsibility can the fashion world start to reflect the values we say we believe in. In the end, sustainable fashion shouldn't try to imitate fast fashion. It should try to redefine what fashionable really means: thoughtful, fair, and lasting. Thank you so much.